And now, the Lowdown, with economist and political strategist Elson Low.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Lowdown. Thank you for starting your Saturday night on a high here at the Lowdown. My name is Elson Low. I'm your host this evening. We've got a fun show for you. We always try to keep it light on a Saturday night. We try to keep it fun, try to keep things light and easy. And so we've got an interesting, fun show. We're going to talk about the oil and gas industry quite a bit and give you a sense of the progress the country has made. But before we get into all of that, please share the link. Please share the link, folks. Let's get everyone with the opportunity to see the program this evening. We want everyone to get a chance to see it. We want everyone to join in on this on the entertainment this evening. So share that link, get the message out, and let's try and get everyone in that we can get in. So yeah, tonight we're going to be looking at we're going to try to get an idea of how much oil and gas, how much oil reserves specifically should be in the Guyana Basin and in Guyana itself. That's been a difficult number to pin down, so I'm going to try to give you viewers an understanding of that, understanding of how much oil might actually be available. So that's something to keep in mind. We're also going to be looking at, the closing off the show, talking about the Center for Business Development, which is where you can get access to business in the oil and gas industry. It'll help you if you're looking for a job or if you're looking to get a contract to supply the oil and gas industry. So we'll talk on that a bit. And then, halfway through our show, we'll bring in a guest. That's Ms. Vanessa Kisoon. And we'll have a quick chat with her. Should be fun, as you know, it always is. So that's the show for you guys tonight. But one of the things that we'll use as a lens to help us to understand these changes, this new environment, is we're going to talk about Singapore. We're going to talk about Singapore because that has historically been the country that Guyana's development has been compared to. And that's going to be a good kind of lens for us to look at in terms of where we might want to head or go. But we'll also look at some other countries that are important as we discuss these oil and gas developments and as we come to an understanding of what is going on and what our future may indeed look like. So that's going to be something that we consider. We're going to talk a bit about touch briefly on the movie Crazy Rich Asians, which is about Singapore largely, and that will hopefully help to give us some perspective. One of the issues that we sometimes face when it comes to the oil and gas industry and looking at Guyana's future is that it is difficult to maybe get an appreciation of what the future will really be like, what Guyana could really look like. That's been very difficult over the years to get an appreciation for it. And so what we want to do is to help to paint that picture for you so that you have some perspective going forward and so that you can kind of understand why some of the policies that are being recommended by the PNCR are first steps in a process as we look to move the country forward. So you'll get some context around these things. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight, folks. Share the link. Let's try and get as many people as possible to see the show. Let's try and put this show out there. Let's try and bring everyone in for the evening's entertainment. So share that link, and we'll be looking to have a good show this evening. And hopefully you guys will have some great entertainment from it. Actually, we're going to show you a little bit of a video from Singapore that again will highlight how the direction that Guyana could go if we manage things well and we don't thief out all the oil money. Okay, so starting on that note, we're going to just lean into some of the content for tonight. You know, we start off with meme of the week, so we'll go for funny news items or memes that we come across. And so if we could get the first one up there, we'll kick the discussion off. Okay, there we go. So we've got the government indicating that they've, there's 100 houses that have been built, 100 houses, and in other areas they're going to build another 100 houses. But I found this to be quite comical because, one of the things that's interesting is that in Guyana we've got about 30,000 Venezuelans that have moved here. We've got an oil and gas industry that is causing thousands and thousands of people to move to the country. And the government is out promoting the fact that they built 100 houses. So well done to you, government. Strong performance. This is what we wanted, 100 houses. It strikes me as wholly inadequate to the point that it is indeed comical. And so this 100 houses and these types of initiatives, that's supposed to somehow answer the vast problems that we've got in housing in this country that seem to be accelerating rather than decelerating. Let's get the next shot up there. Let's get there we go. So this is another great meme that I think ties into this. And I would describe this as the government's housing policy. It's all over the place. It's full of lots of bold promises like 50,000 house lots and so on. It's full of lots of energy. Yet we're seeing them advertise 100 houses that have been built. And what is also pretty entertaining is even with a 50,000 house lots promise, if you've got 30,000 Venezuelans that have moved to the country, it seems to me that 50,000 house lots is an obsolete number and doesn't really recognize the nature of what's going on. It sounds nice, but it's just like this picture. It's a random plan that's trying to get at various solutions without really doing a proper analysis of what is going on. There you go. Lots of energy, really getting into it. House lots for everyone, but are there going to be enough house lots to compensate for the growth of the population? Are there going to be enough of these things? Or are we going to continue to build 100 houses at a time and finish in 2150? Catching up to the growth of the population. So let's see if the government makes an adjustment to its strategies, but it's pretty comical at this point. The next, let's get the next picture up there. So what's the side effect of this? The side effect of this is that we now have got rental prices and housing prices through the roof. They can't keep up with the tremendous demand. And so is Charlotte Street, not necessarily the most ritzy area. It's not Bel Air we're talking about, or the most expensive areas in the country. But a one bedroom, 140,000 Guyana dollars. A one bedroom. Now if your salary, heaven forbid, is 80,000 or even 100,000, clearly you can't be living by yourself. That's tough. And if I recall correctly, the minimum wage in Guyana is $44,000, $44,200, something like that. So does that mean then that if you're living on minimum wage, you shouldn't be able to afford a place to live? Is that what we're seeing in our country? Certainly not a place in Georgetown to live. It's not Bel Air or one of the ritzier neighborhoods. It's just a normal neighborhood. But $140,000 is the rent there. So this is the side effect. This is the consequence of building 100 houses and boasting about it is that it is totally inadequate. And as a result, you've seen housing prices go up to unbelievable levels. Where the country is growing, demand is tremendously high. The oil and gas industry is pushing demand up. So in order to meet these challenges, we need to be much more aggressive in our housing policy. We need proper assessments of what it is that the country requires. And we need to meet that because the person who would have been living in this particular house has been displaced, has been pushed out to another community. But that will raise the rent in that community because that's an extra person looking for a house. And this is how you end up having cost of living in a country that has oil go through the roof. As we like to point out, oil is a funny thing, and if you don't govern the country well, you can actually see people's lives get worse, not better. So this is an example, unfortunately, of poor governance leading to these types of outcomes. So if we can roll it forward, continuing on the theme of meme of the week. Okay, so we got the Demerara Harbor Bridge, government putting out a notice about a loose panel, and saying that they'll fix it later when the traffic slows down. This was actually on, I believe it's on the day of fasting and prayer that was announced. The same day this notice came out. And someone indicated, I won't mention the person, but they indicated that, the first place that they should have started the fasting and the praying is at the bridge, because people are driving across this bridge, and to hear that a panel is loose must surely be alarming. So that's something that came up, I think amused quite a few people. And especially the fact that they seem to indicate that they would fix it later on. Of course, the government is, again, setting its own policies, but we're thankful that nothing came out of this particular incident, and hopefully we'll see the Demerara Bridge maintained so that this doesn't happen in the future. But that's what we're getting out of the government. Maybe the prayer session should indeed have started right at that bridge. So let's roll on to the next one. We're continuing with the theme, name of the week. So here we've got someone who stole a laptop, computer, various other things, and some sausages. So we have mentioned in previous shows that things is not nice at all. And if people are breaking in and stealing all your sausage, that seems to me like they might be pretty hungry. So things is not nice at all. One of the things that I find again to be a bit concerning is that Guyana is likely to grow far in excess of 50% this year, and yet people are still breaking in to steal sausages. Does that say to you that all is well in the country? And of course, we've pointed out previously that less than 1% of the national budget was put towards cost of living adjustments, cost of living mitigation measures. So it is perhaps not as much of a surprise that you're seeing people steal sausages. It's troubling, but that's what we're seeing. So yes, this is the meme of the week segment. We've got closing it off there with the theft of the sausages. I don't even know if this man got a chance to eat some of these sausages. It's tough out there, folks. It's tough out there. Things is not nice at all. That's the word. Things is not nice at all. But we want to look to the future. We want people to understand how this country is developing and where it is going. And we want people to be optimistic and to really address their minds towards what we need to do in order to have this prosperous future. But that is a bit difficult to do, I think, when you don't have a good sense of how much oil you actually have in the country that we're likely to find and likely to have, and we've already found, and so on and so forth. But you don't have a good measure of that. It's very difficult to actually plan. And as a result of not being able to plan effectively, it's difficult to set good government policy and for us as citizens to know when we need to put pressure on the government to act more. It's difficult to really understand these things, so we can see a 50% growth rate, and what does that even mean to the average citizen? What direction are we going in? These things are very much unclear. So I want to give you a bit of a perspective on that hopefully will help you to understand how to think about the amount of oil that Guyana has, and that will I think, be a bit eye-opening by the time we're done. So the first thing that I want to bring up, and if we can get the first picture up there, is that there was a study done by the United States Geological Survey, and this is the offshore area, the Guyana-Suriname Basin, that the study addressed many other basins, but it addressed this particular basin. And as a result of looking at this, the estimate that came up, or the estimate that is often quoted, so you see the Guyana-Suriname area there, the offshore area, the estimate that is often quoted, apologies, viewers, is that there's 13.9 billion barrels of oil offshore in that particular region. 13.9 billion barrels. But that is a very much a misunderstood number. And viewers that are sharp on it may notice that we've already found 10 billion barrels of oil in the Stabroek Block by itself. So that would, means that we're creeping up to this number rather quickly. It's only been, we've been exploring, not for that long that Exxon has been actively exploring compared to the full life of the oil and gas industry in the country, the expected life. Now, what is important to really grasp about this survey, and it's now being questioned in terms of whether it is large enough in scale, is that this survey is not a definitive number. Rather, it gives an idea, it gives probabilities. And so as much as there's a 50% chance, give or take, that we would have 13.9 billion barrels of oil, there's also a 95% chance that we would have had at least 2.7 billion. So we've passed the 2.7 billion with a 95% chance. But there is, and this is what I think it's important for us to really get a sense of, and I say important more than once because I really want to drill this home. There is a 5% chance that there's 32 billion barrels of oil offshore. A small chance that it's 32 billion barrels of oil offshore. However, because we've already found 10 billion barrels of oil, because there are still 20 prospects, more than 20 prospects in the Stabroek Block alone, still to be drilled, it's more and more likely that we will come closer to this 32 billion barrel number than we would really have anticipated before. I would say this, we may have had a 5% chance when we're starting out. That's what we're thinking. But do you believe that it's only a 5% chance that we have 32 billion barrels of oil offshore, given how much we found, how quickly we found it, and how few dry wells Exxon has found in the Stabroek Block? So that is something to consider. It's not a fixed number. It's more a question of the likelihood. And as it stands right now, I think it is reasonable to say that it is far more likely that there is more, that we're going to get to the higher end in terms of the amount of barrels of oil than the lower end. We're going to get much closer to this 32 billion than I think we would have thought originally. And I don't know if we're going to surpass it as these estimates are again reevaluated. Even in Suriname, even next door, Suriname has had 5 discoveries of oil. 5. We've had in excess of 20 here at Guyana. Suriname has had 5. And the estimates there are that the block where they found a lot of this, I believe it's block 58, that is actually going to have 6.5 billion barrels of oil. 6.5 billion. Now, sharp viewers again may notice that 6.5 plus 10 would already put you past the 13.9 billion estimate. So we would already be ahead of that estimate. But that's not all, folks. Let's recall that there are other blocks where we found oil in Guyana. That's the Oranduke and the Quarantine block. And having found oil there, the estimates for the Quarantine and Demerara and so on are 4.8 billion barrels of oil. And the estimates for the Oranduke is about 8 billion barrels of oil. So let's add this up. We've got 10, we've got 8, we've got 4. We're looking at what may be 22.8 billion barrels of oil. 22.8 billion barrels of oil. That's just looking at blocks where oil companies that are prospecting have found oil. Oil companies that are prospecting. So that's 22.8 billion. If you add on the Suriname amount, that's another 6.5. So you can see that we're getting up to this certain number. That's 28, 29 billion there. We're getting up to that certain number. But are they done exploring? No. There's lots more exploration to be done. As a result, it is very probable that we're going to get past this 32 billion barrel number or come to that 32 billion barrel number. So of course, further exploration needs to take place. But it's really a question of probability. It's a question of what's the likelihood. And so these fixed numbers, oh, it's 13 billion barrels, it's this, it's that, that's not really the way to approach it. The way to approach it is to say, well, what does it seem is most likely given the information we have? And it is much more likely that we're going to end up closer to the 32 billion than less likely. And that is the way we want to approach it when we try and think about this. So that's what the kind of context that I want Guyanese to have at the back of their mind. Now we're going to talk a bit about Crazy Rich Asians, that's entertaining film about Singapore. And we're going to talk about Singapore a bit. I'm going to show you a quick video. We're going to show you some images of Singapore just so you get a sense of it. And from there, you can kind of address your mind to the possibilities of there being as much as 22.8 billion barrels of oil offshore Guyana. And let's open our minds to possibilities. Let's open our minds to possibilities. Let's take a positive attitude and look at all of these things and ask ourselves what direction our country could be going in and whether we could end up like Singapore. Now, Singapore is a country that is very well developed, that has got a very robust business sectors, and has had that for a significant period of time. We here in Guyana, are still developing, obviously, but we got independence at a similar time to Singapore. But they have obviously progressed to be one of the wealthiest countries in the world, whereas we are only now being able to move forward in the way that we would like to move forward. So it does raise, the question for us as to whether now will be the time that we can make that leap. And so we've got the resources. Are we going to be able to make the leap? To that end, we're gonna take a look at a few images. We could get a couple images of Singapore up. Play the next few images, and we'll take a look at that and see what that conveys. So some images of Singapore. Oh, there we go. So we've got an actress who was a starring actress in Crazy Rich Asians. She's wearing a beautiful dress there, leaning on a Ferrari, which is that's kind of the environment you come across in Singapore, where people are wealthy enough to be driving Ferraris and so on and so forth. So this is just giving you a bit of a sense of it. If we can get the next photo up. We've also got here the harbor at Singapore, where they've got these artificial trees which are lit up at night. Quite stunning and beautiful, expensive obviously, but stunning and beautiful. Indicative, however, of the level of development of the country, that they can spend that much on their parks, their park areas. That is, I think, far away from the parks in Guyana, but perhaps this is where we're going. If we can get the next image, please. This is the harbor itself in Singapore, which is very famous. You've got the three buildings there with the top that looks like a cricket stump. We've got the other building that looks a bit like a lotus. It's beautiful, well-lit, well-known, a great center of trade in the region, and very, very well-known harbor. So now we're going to show you guys a quick video, just giving you a sense of what it's like really in Singapore. It's a couple minutes long, and again, we want to remind you, there could be as much, based off of these estimates we're looking at, as 2.8 billion barrels of oil in Guyana. 2.8 billion. Exxon by itself has found 10 so far, but continues to search. And other blocks, they've been able to find oil. And so let's have that at the back of our mind. Billions and billions of barrels of oil. And then let's take a look at this video of Singapore. Operator, we can have that on, and then we'll come back into things. Folks, I hope that you enjoyed that gorgeous, sumptuous footage of Singapore. Quite beautiful. I hope that you really enjoyed that, and it gives you a sense of how the country really should look in 15 years or so. Let's see. But I want to kind of close off by helping you to understand some context here, helping you to get a real grasp of things. And so, Saudi Arabia. So you can get the first picture there of Saudi Arabia up. Saudi Arabia is famous for being full of oil. Actually, we're still on a picture of Singapore there. But Saudi Arabia is full of oil. It's absolutely full of oil. And it's well known for that, for being full of oil. Isn't Singapore gorgeous? But it is important for us to understand, I think, where do we stand relative to countries like Saudi Arabia? Let's get the next picture up so we can put up one of Saudi Arabia. Next shot. And that will, I think, set the tone. So you've got, again, beautiful buildings just like you've got in Singapore and Saudi Arabia. Beautiful, beautiful buildings. And, of course, many of them are world-renowned. World-renowned buildings. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Great. Now, in Saudi Arabia, they've obviously got endless amounts of oil. They've got 266 billion barrels of oil. Huge numbers, not our little 10 billion barrels of oil, huge numbers. But if we look at the number of barrels of oil per person, you could follow along views. The math is simple. Guyana has currently, based off of Exxon's estimates, 10 billion barrels of oil and about 800,000 people. That means that there's 12,500 barrels of oil per person. Okay, viewers? Saudi Arabia has 266 billion, 578 million, give or take, barrels of oil and 35 million people. That means that they've got 7,616 barrels of oil per person. This means that Guyana has far more barrels of oil per person than Saudi Arabia. Can you see that, viewers? 12,500 versus about 7,600 barrels of oil per person. If Guyana doesn't end up looking like Saudi Arabia or Singapore, folks, we got a real problem. And I would put it to you this way. They work very hard in Singapore. They've got a great business culture. It strikes me that as much as we put in development, as much as we develop various industries, as much as we build the country, which we will do, that all we need to do to have a prosperous nation, all we need to do, for goodness sake, is don't thief out the oil money. I'll put it to you in regular Creole's terms. Don't thief out the oil money. There's enough. We have far more barrels of oil per person than Saudi Arabia. All you gotta do is don't thief out the oil money, and we're good to go, folks. That's it. Just don't thief it. We'll be good. I mean, once we have reasonable governance, we should be fine. So we're going to develop various other industries. We're going to build this country. But most of all, it's the cardinal rule. Don't thief out the oil money. All right, folks, we're gonna jump across now to just a quick breakdown of a policy that the PNCR is pushing in the context of all of these riches. It's a simple policy that we're pushing, and it's that we need to move that tax. We need to move the tax threshold up. We need to allow those on the lower end to not be paying taxes. We've talked about moving it from 65,000 to 125,000, but it's going to continue to be moved up as the country gets wealthier and as we try to ensure that citizens earning on the lower end are not paying taxes. That's a promise the PNCR has put forward and something that we intend to push. And of course, in Saudi Arabia, guess what? No income tax. So that's, I think, very much in line. And it's important for us to understand that we're heading in the right direction if we have good management. If we don't thief out the oil money. But if we thief it out, guess what? No Saudi Arabia. So we're going to close out that segment. Thank you for following along with me there, viewers. And we're going to actually bring on Ms. Vanessa Kisun, I believe is a former MP, just for a quick chat. You know, we like to have a nice, relaxed chat. There she is. It's good to have you on. How are you tonight?
Good night, Elson. I am good. I am good and excited to be on your show. Good night to your viewers, and really thanks for having me. I really enjoyed your pieces just now, and I really appreciate what you're doing and allowing Guyanese to understand, and especially the ordinary man and ordinary woman. And I think what we need to do is really have this show pushed a little more, because this information is very informative, and I like the calculations. Many of us, not like you, we're not that good at math, eh? So, but the way you broke it down, and
Sure,
the
sure.
how you said how many barrels for a person and all of that, I think that we can head in the right direction, as you said. And if we have proper and good management, that's all it calls for: proper and
Yeah,
good management. And
absolutely. Absolutely.
we can have a wonderful Guyana where all Guyanese can feel really comfortable and enjoy a real life, and not where we have to study where our next dollar comes from, or our next meal comes from, and that sort of thing. So I really
Absolutely.
appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that we're informing the Guyanese people. This is so vital because otherwise maybe we would have the wrong expectations. I hear people comparing us to Trinidad, and I find that to be quite amusing. Trinidad's highest oil production is 160,000 barrels of oil per day. We're nearly double that, and at our peak, we'll be
But
10 times as much oil as
yeah,
Trinidad. So I think that if you're comparing Guyana to Trinidad, it sounds to me like you're unfamiliar with oil and oil money. Now we'll switch over.
and that is why we have to educate our people, Elson. We need to educate them, because
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
talking from what they know, and they're
Yeah,
not, like you said, they're not educated. They're not familiar and aware of what really is happening in the countries that really got oil.
we gotta
Okay, so
change expectations. We gotta change expectations and the small goals that I think some politicians are setting so that they can steal. We gotta stop them from setting those small goals, and we gotta get what Guyanese really deserve, which is that Singapore, that Saudi Arabia lifestyle. Let's get things moving
man,
with the resources
I
that are
really love
there.
that. I really love the lights. I love the buildings. Oh my! I was here just now. imagining, and I wrote it down. Infrastructure. We want to see that. And the thing is, we can do it, but because we're one-minded and we have one set, and then we're all about just fighting and racism and discrimination. We can't see the bigger picture, and so
Exactly.
we really
Exactly.
really need to educate the younger generation so that they will be able to take this country forward.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And as I mentioned, don't thief out the oil money, folks. Don't thief out the oil money.
Don't thief- that should be our next thing. Don't thief the oil money. Don't thief it.
There you go. So thanks for that. But I of course want our viewers to have a quick understanding of where you're originally from, if you can give us a sense of that.
Well, I'm originally from a little village on the East Coast, Pleasant, and about 20 years ago, I moved to Linden and Region 10 after I would have I became a trained teacher. And so, of
Uh,
course, young and excited, I wanted to spread my wings and, go somewhere far, somewhere else, experience.
yeah.
And I must say to you, I've not regretted. But I grew up in Pleasance, right on the line top where I am right now.
Okay.
Pleasance, line top, as you know it. And I heard all the wonderful stories my granny told me about when train was passing and, all these glorious stories you heard of. I didn't
Sure, sure.
experience it, but my mom and my aunts, they would have experienced the train, the days of the train running on this
Yeah,
line right here. So,
we may have to
yes,
bring those days back. We may have to bring those days back. The traffic situation continues to be
exactly.
unbelievable. Yeah,
Especially in East Bank, coming down this evening. I mean, I'm saying, oh Lord, let me please reach in time so I can get on the show early, because it's not. Oh my God, I don't know if you ever travel on the East Bank.
yeah. Of course, it's very difficult. Very, very difficult.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. And
yeah, so I.
so sure, sure. Did you mention there that you're a trained teacher? Just wanted to get a
Oh well.
sense of what your favorite thing
So
is about teaching and so on.
Well, when I normally introduce myself, and I teach my young people and even the women in my women's group, I always tell them that when you're defining who you are and you're introducing yourself, you must be positive. So we would normally go with adjectives that describe us. So I am vibrant, virtuous, victorious, vivacious, valid, and valuable. Vanessa
Sure.
Kitun. I am a
Yeah.
teacher by profession, former
Sure.
member of parliament, and a mother by choice and blessing.
I like that. I like how you put that. That's very nice. That's very nice. And it does sound like you've been involved in teaching profession for some time, so that's great to hear. That's
Yes,
absolutely great.
26 plus years I've been
Sure.
in the profession.
Wow, wow, wow.
And
Oh,
actually, since my I was birthed into the teaching profession. My mom is a former HM. I have aunts, uncles, all in the teaching profession. And so I was birthed into that. And like most, even when I hear my daughter, I have a 11-year-old daughter, she knows, oh, I want to be a teacher when I grow up. And my older daughter, she is a teacher. And she said, I'm the person that inspired her. And I was inspired by my mom and my aunts and so on. So we're a
yeah.
family of teachers.
That's very beautiful. I'm glad to hear that. That's very beautiful. Switching a bit, as I said, we like to keep it light. So, if you could tell viewers, what is your least favorite food?
Karila. I don't like
I
Karila.
have to stand with you on that one. I am not the biggest fan of Cruella. You have to cook it very carefully for it to.
Yeah, and I don't eat pork. So
Sure, sure.
yeah.
Uh,
But
what movie or TV show have you rewatched the most? Some people will say Home
um,
Alone away, so you can't use an easy answer like Home Alone.
actually I am not into movies now like before, because
Sure.
what happens every time I'm to watch something, my children, they will laugh me. They said when they put it on for me, by within 10 minutes, the show is watching me. But I really like this movie. I watched it more than once. Imitation of Life. I really like
Okay,
that movie.
sure,
Um,
sure.
Coming to America was one of my favorites
Yeah, that's a
growing up.
classic. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
classic for sure,
I
for
like
sure.
I like this movie Champ. I don't know if you know of that movie Champ. That was with
Sure.
not Sylvester Stallone. Stallone. He starred that. I think it was him. No,
Okay, okay.
I can't remember. But I like that movie Champ. I like the. I love action pack movies also.
Sure,
So
sure. Well, Coming to
that
America is certainly a movie that I've enjoyed multiple times. It's pretty
yes,
hilarious.
yes.
I won't forget. Didn't he go to Queens because he was looking for a queen or something to that effect, which I thought to be pretty.
Exactly. But
Okay, okay.
it is a nice
Uh,
movie.
Switching gears again. Switching gears again. What is the longest trip that you have taken? The longest trip that you've ever taken, and you can define longest in terms of length. You can define it in terms of time. You can define it in terms of the amount of hassle that the trip was. You can define it
Um,
in any number of ways.
well, since you gave me that, one of my longest, and I would say trips and journeys, and I wouldn't
Sure,
use as in distance from one place to another, but say
sure.
from my teenage years to my mid 30s. Um,
Okay.
that
Yeah,
journey there.
sure.
And
Yeah.
it's still a challenge for me right now, but that journey there was very, very
Yeah.
challenging. I had a lot of setbacks. I had lots of, disappointments
Yeah.
and
Sure. Sure.
finding myself, finding my
Yeah.
ground,
Yeah.
But even though it was a long and difficult and so on journey, I want to say that where I am today, if it wasn't for that journey, I would not have been here. And so I
Yeah.
really want to thank God because He kept me
Sure.
to that through that journey because it had some really really bumpy roads and
Sure.
some walls. I had to go around 7 times around the walls to ensure that they drop. There are times when you have to make some big shouts, but
Yeah.
yeah, that period there for my life was and
Yeah.
that journey was different.
Sure.
I'm
Sure.
not defining it different from just one place or
If
not. Well,
I
one
even know I
place,
can find.
yes.
Uh, Here's another funny one. What is the largest crowd that you've ever been in? Largest crowd that you've ever been in.
That
It could have
would
been
be
a concert. It could have been a rally. It could have been a cricket. I don't know. The largest crowd you've
one
ever been in.
I would use 2012 in Linden when we had the protest and when we stood as a region against
Sure.
and injustice that came to the people. I was member of parliament then, and
Sure.
addressing the entire Linden and Region 10 community because we had people from all over coming, even all over Guyana,
Yeah.
and being able to stand there and address persons and actually have, persons listen to you. And so within my political life,
Yeah.
and not also, I must say, when you're in a classroom with 40 students, it's another large crowd and a
That.
large crowd on a different level because it's not
Yeah.
easy to sit there and manage 40 or something children in a small space and
Yeah.
being able to maintain classroom discipline and all of that. So that
Focus.
would be it for me.
Sure, sure, absolutely, absolutely. Now, one thing I also always like to ask guests is, what is your biggest hope for the future of Guyana? Something that you're hopeful, that you're looking forward to in the future in Guyana, that you'd like to see come about. Something that when you're lying at night, you think to yourself, this is something that I really want to see flourish in my country. You have any particular thoughts?
I want to say, I want to see a Guyana that reflects our motto: one people, one nation, one destiny. which means
True.
there must be a level playing field. And
Yeah.
also, I would love to see. And after watching your program, and so I made because I really liked what I saw and what I heard. So we're looking. I would love to see an improved health, education, and housing sector,
Yeah.
infrastructure, where we have proper roads. It matters not, even if it's in a little street, we must, maintaining our vehicles are very expensive. So you want to see in proper infrastructure, proper schools and hospitals, and
Yeah.
as we call it, we don't want to see. We want to see state of the art, not state of the heart. Uh, right. So that is one thing I want to see a country where after elections,
Mm-hmm.
when we have our national and regional elections, it
Mm-hmm.
matters not which side of the house you're sitting on. You must be able to speak to power. You must be able to speak truth to power,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to stand up for our people because Guyana, when we're elected, whether in government or in opposition, we're there to represent the people. And so our main aim must be the people. We must have our people at heart. We must not steal the oil money. We must ensure that our people get a part of that oil money. I want to see a Guyana where our trained professionals are staying and not, I can't run away, Elson. We don't want them to run away. We want them to
Yeah.
be able to stay and enjoy Guyana. And we must and
Absolutely.
so the same package that they're running towards to improve their life and livelihood, we must be able to have that here in Guyana, where our trained professionals in whichever sector remain, and so we will have better service for our
Yeah.
Guyanese people in different sectors. And so, in
Yeah.
order for us to have that, we must have proper and good management of our resources. And of
Absolutely.
course,
Absolutely.
I would love to see a Guyana where there is no discrimination and we don't want to have racism in our midst because we're multicultural. I'm look at me. My name is Vanessa, and I should have been Ramki soon. And of course, my name also should have been Mangal. So I want to see a
Okay.
Guyana where exactly where we can. That's my father's surname, and I
Sure.
want to
Sure.
see a Guyana where we can really live as one people, one nation, one
One destiny.
destiny.
One destiny. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, as we close off, I wanted to know if you had any final words, anything you want to mention as we close off this segment.
Well, thank you very much for having me again, and to your listening audience and viewing audience, I want to say that I really want us to work on having our Guyana, as I said, reflecting our motto. But the only way we can do it is if we have unity among ourselves. And of course, during elections, we will fight, we will do whatever. But after that, we must continue as one people. Um, as you know, Elson, I'm running for and I'm competing in the Guyana Teachers Union, and so the elections for presidency. And so I want to encourage my colleagues out there, those of you who already voted, those of you who would have nominated me, and you would have put your trust and confidence in me. I want to say thank you for those persons who did not have a chance to vote as yet. If you have not received your ballot, I'm kindly asking, I should have had the numbers there to share with you. So contact the elections officer, the monitors. We have 3 monitors. And so if not, you can contact me on 603-5211 so that we can have these matters ironed out. The process is on right now. Persons are receiving ballots via the post. Some persons received, some have not received. I've heard issues of some people's names not being on the list. They didn't receive a ballot as yet. And so we have to iron out some of these things because it's closing off on the 15th of April, and then we will have the count. And to say to my colleagues that, when you elect me, and I want to say to them that in me, they will have a leader that will not only work with them, but work for them. They will have a leader in Vanessa soon that will not only fight with them, but will fight for them. And also, they will have a leader who will be out there representing them and ensuring that teachers, enjoy better environment, classroom, and just not teachers, even our students, because when the teachers are comfortable, then it will transfer far, and it, moved down to our students and even the parents. And I want to encourage us all. I know that Elson, they're saying that we're open and persons are, not wearing their masks. Some of us, we believe that we're all safe. I want to still encourage us at least to wear our masks, sanitize, and as much, let us not rush into the large crowds too much as yet. Let us, give it a little more time. And so all my children, to my women's group BWM, I love you people, my teachers, colleagues, in all spheres of life. I want to say I love you people, and let's continue to
Sure.
push for one Guyana, one people, one nation, one destiny, and let's continue. And like you're doing, Elson, I want to encourage you along with even our representatives in Parliament to ensure that our Guyanese people are educated, they understand, and you break it down to this type of level where each
Sure.
Guyanese is mother that they can understand, and so we'll be able to reason better, we'll be able to make better representation, and our
Um,
people, the ordinary man and woman, will enjoy the 10 billion, how many barrels of oil? And so we
10
can have a
minutes.
better Guyana.
Great, great. So thank you for being on. This was a pleasure, and good luck to you in your race. And we'd love to have you on in the
Thank you.
future. So thank you for being on.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so then that's Ms. Vanessa Kisoon. We're happy to have her on, and that was a nice little segment again. We now we're going to chat a bit. We always close off the show by giving young people and business people and people who are interested in the oil and gas industry an idea of how the economy is changing and how they can access resources and so on and so forth. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Center for Business Development. I suspect we'll have to touch on them on more than one occasion, but for now, let's just have a quick sense of how of what that is, how that functions. But essentially, that's been set up by Exxon and Hess as a facilitating mechanism to allow Guyanese who want to be involved in the oil and gas industry to access jobs and to access opportunities to get contracts and to supply the oil and gas industry. And so that is essentially what you'll see when you connect with the Center for Business Development. Their website is centerguyana.com. And you can go to that website and actually be able to see job opportunities, see contract and supply opportunities that are available at this particular point in time. So even today, I just took a browse of it and I saw that there's a workshop technician post. 15th of April is the closing date for that application. I saw that Schlumberger, which is an international company in the oil and gas industry, is looking for solar panels. That'll be closed off on the 10th of April. So you can go every day and you'll be able to find opportunities in the oil and gas sector that are coming up. But in order to access these opportunities, you need to actually register with the Center for Business Development. So you need to register with them. And after you've registered with them, you'll be able to kind of get alerts as to how this, as to what is available. You'll also be able to see really in real time what it is that's available. And that's because they have a particular supplier portal. So that is the mechanism that is updated regularly with the requests by various companies for staff, jobs, or for supplies. So that would be like the solar panels as an example. So that is updated regularly, and you'll be able to see what it is that these companies are looking for. Further, actually, that Center for Business Development is training, so supply chain management training, human resources management training, financial management training, training for small companies and so on, to be able to increase their capacity so that they can actually participate in the oil and gas sector. That's what the training is there for. So it's something that you can benefit from. I believe that it's generally free. Additionally, the center actually, when you apply, does require some degree of documentation. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. Obviously, you'd need to register your business if it's a business. You'd also need to have a VAT number, have a TIN number, any other related certificates in your industry or in your area. You need to have those. You'd also need to indicate whether your ownership is local ownership or it's CARICOM ownership and so on, women owned and so on and so forth. So once you're able to do those things, you'll actually be able to access this supplier portal. And in the process of accessing the supplier portal, you'll be able to apply to the various companies to fill those particular supply needs. So if Schlumberger wants solar panels, you can register. You'll see in the supplier portal that solar panels will pop up. Maybe you have a solar panel business. Because you're registered, you can actually use that to go in, apply to Schlumberger. I believe you can apply right from that website, but you'll be able to get the details at the very least. And that now allows you to get to see whether you can get this contract. And that's the process. It's a process that I believe that all small businesses should know, and they should all be registered with the Center for Business Development. Remember that website is centerguyana.com. Let me say that again, centerguyana.com. So we would hope that you'd be able to go, register your small business, get your documents together, register, and be able to access these opportunities. So that's the way to go. Endless opportunities will be posted today, tomorrow, and in the future, as we have a long road ahead of us in the oil and gas industry. So as a result, there's so much opportunity. So I fully encourage any small businesses and so on, and anyone who's interested in getting a job in the oil and gas industry, to pay attention to that website and to register. So I hope that that's given you a sense as a small business how you would have to operate, what the opportunities are that are available to you, and how you can kind of jump in and be a part of this massive economic growth that we're seeing. How many times will you be in a country that is growing at 50%? But I think it'll be much more than 50%, perhaps as high as 75%. How many times will you be in those circumstances? How many times will you have that opportunity? We shall see how much it grows, but not many. So I would encourage you to take advantage of that and really to benefit from our great country's growth. So that brings us to the end of our show. Thank you for being here with us. I hope that you enjoyed our segments on Singapore. I hope you enjoyed our breakdown of the oil and gas industry. I hope you enjoyed speaking with Ms. Vanessa Kisoon, and I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about the Center for Business Development. So that's going to be it for us here on the Lowdown, folks. Thank you for starting your Saturday night on a high with Elson Low, and we will catch you next week.
And now, the Lowdown, with economist and political strategist Elson Low.
Thank you for watching our program. See you right back here, same place, same time. And remember, hold the line of battle, comrades. Our victory is sure.